podcast is Christian. This podcast is Reformed. This podcast is postmillennial, optimistic, and reconstructionist. And this podcast is for fun.
Welcome to episode 12 of Reconciled Radio. It is fun to be here again, guys. How you doing?
It's been a week and a half.
Yeah.
Can't confirm.
Yeah, but
Can't
I'm glad to be back on the mics with you guys. Good
Yeah,
to see y'all.
it's been a little while.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
How was your week?
Studley.
Yeah.
I had a great night last night.
Did you? What did
you
you
know
do?
why? Because I was hanging out with you guys.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
We were
had
watching
our
the collision.
Yep. So
Awesome
we had our
Paint the picture, Jesse.
We had our
Please.
very reformed
Everyone, please close your eyes. and
film
imagine.
viewing.
Yeah.
Set the scene a little bit here. We were in a garage. It was beautifully lit. We had a nice big screen TV.
I swept it out.
Yep, you did sweep it out. It was very nice. It was very nice. We had a table in there. We had some whiskey. We had some cigars and
Pipe
some
tobacco.
pipes. And it was...
And we had Little Caesars Pizza.
Yeah,
They
it
are
was,
not a
it was
sponsor.
fun. And we did a film viewing of the movie Collision, an older film done by Darren Doane. And it's a wonderful little segue because, guys, we just had an amazing conversation with the one Darren Doane.
One and only. I'm like,
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, so...
He wore us like we thought we were gonna wear him out. He wore us. out.
well, he was drinking a Red
on
Bull
it.
the entire
That's
time.
true.
That's
Dude
where
is-
we went wrong.
Yep.
The dude is hardcore. He is an amazing guy. Amazing films. Check out his films: Free Speech Apocalypse, Collision, Saving Christmas that he did with Kirk Cameron. Did you guys see that one?
Not yet.
That movie is hilarious and
It's on
amazing.
Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. You
yeah,
can watch it.
It changed my life when it comes to Christmas.
And what's the gun one called? Keep and Bear Arms?
Keep and Bear.
I just watched that today. Oh,
Yep.
Keep and Bear.
Yep.
That was cool.
I
One.
heard that was really good.
It's good.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
So I've loved his films
My goodness.
for a very long time. Love the stuff that he does. He's a Christian, Reformed, Postmil.
This is a guy who fits our show so well because
Yes.
the day after he became a Christian, he called up one of his best buds, David Bonson,
Greg Bonson's son.
and the first thing he does is watch the Bonson and Stein debate, and everything's downhill. So he didn't even have a chance not to be Postmil, not to be pre-sub,
Exactly.
not to
Exactly.
be. I mean, he's just awesome.
It was an amazing story. So we got to have an hour and a half conversation with the one Darren Doane, and it was awesome, and it was really cool. So you got anything else?
I just wanted to say that we don't it.
We don't it.
We don't it.
We domed it.
Enjoy,
We
you
done
guys.
it.
All right, Darren Doane, thank you for being with us today. Reconciled Radio, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. Hey, I just want to let you know real quick, we're going for an hour, so I've got my Red Bull. It'll be over ice, because I just love it. I love it with ice. I got, the kids' Welch's snacks. I got a little meat stick here. It depends how, if we get into like theonomy, I got to get a little meat in me. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And I don't know. Have you guys ever had a Tiger's Milk Bar?
Yeah.
I have not.
Delicious.
I am bringing this back. No website, no social media, no nothing. It's been acquired 3 different times. I'm trying to track them down. I went ahead and bought all the websites, all the social media, because
No
I
way.
want to be the biggest ambassador. I've been eating this for over 40 years. So I'm all in.
That's why your skin looks so good. You're glowing. It's that tiger's milk.
Well, Tiger Milk.
Yeah.
Well, Tiger Milk.
Hey, Darren, you're from Westlake. My boy Jacob over here is from Oxnard.
Bro, dude, Nardcore.
Born and raised Nardcore. Yes, nobody knows that.
Dude,
I
Dog
feel,
Log 13, bro. Dog Log 13. Don't even get me going. No motive.
bro, I feel so at home right now.
Dude, Nautilus. Had a house on Nautilus, I believe was the street.
Wow.
Right there, which goes right to the beach. Grew up right there. Went back and forth. I can't tell you how many fights and how bloody Oxnard Shores was surfing.
Dude.
I
Yeah.
mean, just old school.
Silver Strand. Nautilus is around Silver Strand, right?
Well, no, Strand was I was on Oxnard Shores.
Oh,
Strand
okay.
was a whole other fight. Hollywood by the Sea. Strand, that was gnarly. You didn't go. You either surfed Oxnard Shores or you surfed the Strand.
Not both.
Hey, I'm gonna let you guys do your beach thing, but Darren, what do you know about the high desert? What you know about Apple Valley, Victorville?
Oh, bro, I mean, we're talking face to face.
The Norma Jean video?
No. I'm talking the band face to face is from Victorville.
That's right.
Victorville, and Trevor, lead singer, tells a great story that when their big song hit, it was all over K-Rock. Victorville couldn't get K-Rock. You had to go down the mountain.
That's right.
So they would drive down just so they could hear K-Rock and hear their song on the radio.
That's basically life growing up in the high desert. You got to go down the hill. We called it going down the hill to get anything of any quality whatsoever.
Yep.
There's a crazy punk rock record store, too, in Victorville. Just super legit, awesome punk rock record store. I mean, Victorville's legit, man, because it sucked.
Yep. Well, we had a great venue there for a long time called the Reflections, where a bunch of punk acts came through, and later on it was the Trilogy Theater, and I was kind of in that hardcore scene. And when I saw some of the videos that you had done, I was just blown away. I would next time we'll have to have you on another time, and I want to talk all music videos because you did. And when you said face to face,
we got an hour.
I know. We might get into it, but that Norma Jean face that was face semicolon or colon face.
Yeah.
You did that video, right?
Yeah, with the original singer, even though the original singer was out of the band at that time, the new singer was there on the set watching while we filmed.
Right, and so the original guy, I think his name was Josh Scoggin, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
That was and he went on to do with a band called The Chariot, which I also loved. I
don't know what it is, but the Norma Jean face video, I don't know why people love it so much.
It's awesome.
I mean, I know, but I've done a lot of. I mean, it's a band going off.
Yeah.
It's a band going off. I've done 9,000.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they're so. You know, when you think about screaming, the fact that you can distinguish between why is this screaming better than that screaming is still a whole other weird art and science of just hardcore. But there's something about that video. It has never left. People always bring it up. Blows my mind.
Yeah. I get it. And I also saw that you did The Darkest Night with Azalea Dying. And that was an interesting video. Yeah. It was kind of set in the Middle East. Where did you guys film that?
Probably Victorville.
Probably. Well, that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Going that way, it's called the Melody Ranch. I think it's Santa Clarita.
Okay.
Those kind of mountains back there in that desert area back there. But yeah, once you get to Santa Clarita, it's pretty much the same thing up to Victorville.
What was I had the opportunity to sit and chat with Tim Lambesis a few times before the whole thing went down, and he's so intense. Yeah, right. He's so intense. Like, when he would talk to you, I'd be, like, telling him something. He would give me no physical response. He would just, like, stare right into your eyes, and then you thought he wasn't listening, and then he would come back and had been listening the whole time. It was very strange to talk with him.
Yeah, Tim, for me, was... it's funny. I mean, it's when everything that happened, I can't tell you how many times I would just look at my phone and think about calling him.
Mm.
But something that gnarly, like, you just don't even know, like, how to really process that scenario.
Right. And what do you say? Yeah.
Well, and the reason why it always pops up is because, everyone in my phone is under their band name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's A. He's the first contact in my phone.
Yeah.
And it still is. And I still see it every time I go to do something. Tim, for me, was always kind of geeky.
Oh, really?
I mean, when I met him, he was skinny.
Right.
Wasn't working out yet. He was kind of always hunched over and, hey, Darren.
Yeah.
A high voice. And, hey, man, oh, thank you so much. And, wow, this video is so heavy. So sweet, like, it was just so. He was so sweet, and he is so sweet, you know. And we would always just keep in touch, and through the years, and then, like, boom, that dropped, and that dropped right when the internet kind of was like our life.
Yep.
And I tried to stay up on it, see what was going on, and I think just recently, I read, like, the letter he wrote.
Yep.
And it was heavy. I mean, it's a heavy,
Yeah, it was very heavy. And for people that don't know, just real quick, Tim Lambese's lead singer, As Lay Dying, a super successful band in the metalcore scene and metal in general. He essentially got caught trying to hire someone to murder his wife. And he actually did prison time for it, and it was a big deal. I saw As Lay Dying in San Diego at my favorite venue called the Soma, and we saw them the week before that news thing broke, and I was front row. I was 5 feet away from him, and it was so surreal. And you're so right about his skinny and his transformation, because it took them 5 or 6 albums, and then he just became a beast on stage. He blew, physically and metaphorically. He was a monster, and his whole demeanor changed. And
that was kind of the story, right? I don't know all the details, but that was kind of he was roiding up, and he was pretty much just going crazy.
Things went dark.
Yeah. No, it's weird because I've done, I think, a video for every band with dying in their name. Yeah, and either blood or dying, and so when something like that happens, like all of a sudden you just kind of feel like the joke's on you, like someone's getting like if it went, it's a good video for a band called I'm going to kill my mom, right? It's a joke, and someone kills their mom, and you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And for some reason, it was just when that all happened, it was very, very surreal. Very surreal.
Was there one, and I know that you worked with some huge acts too. I know Kid Rock's one of your guys, but was there any bands kind of in the early days that you really, really made a connection with, and they stood out, and you had more fun with them, or maybe you're still good friends with them? Was there any one band that stuck out especially?
Early on, Pennywise in the punk rock scene, kind of, Pennywise sort of took me under their wing, and really, I kind of have a career, in 1990, early 90s, or just the first, 90, 91, 92, I'm just a kid trying to make music videos. In 1990, 91 is it's weird. You have Boys to Men, Nirvana's about to show up. You have Janet Jackson, but then you have hair metal, but it's, so there's really nothing set and defined. You're just trying to do whatever. And I was doing as much as I could possibly do. And then I did a video for a band called Caius. That video was the last video on Headbangers Ball, 3 a.m. in the morning. It was the first year they started putting directors' names.
Wow.
On music videos on MTV. And Fletcher from Pennywise saw my name.
Okay.
And that's a crazy, even more providential, because a week later I'm down in Hermosa Beach. I'd made a business card, and I was like, oh, cool, I got a business card. It was marble cardstock from Kinko's, and I was like, and I walked into, this is why I haven't thought about this. The record store was Theologian Records.
Oh. Because
Mark Theodore owned the record company that put out the first Pennywise stuff. I walk in there, we're talking music, and I'm 19 or 20. Hey, I'm a music video director, and I give him my card. Fletcher walks in the next day. He's like, I got to find this guy, Darren Doane.
No way.
Wow.
And Mark's like, I have his card right here. I'm still living at home, and then I get home one night, and my dad's like, hey, I just got done talking to this guy named Fletcher. Seems like a cool guy. I was like, okay. Then I called, and I'd seen Pennywise stickers.
Yeah.
But I was more Jane's Addiction, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that world.
Uh-huh.
The punk thing although it was punk stuff when I was younger, especially Oxnard, Oxnard Shores, punk shows, in garages and all that. But it had been so long, I didn't know punk was coming back. And I called Fletcher and did a video for Pennywise, and that's what got me. Once you did Pennywise, you were royalty.
Yeah.
And then it was Guttermouth and AFI, and then Blink-182 was the baby band. I do Blink-182.
Wow.
They blow up, and when they blow up, I blow up with them. And, so Pennywise took me under there. I'm here because of Pennywise. I'm here because of a band called Strife. And I'm really here because of Tooth and Nail Records that eventually,
oh, wow. Yep.
Because I was the cool, hot, young director. And one day, before I'm a Christian, someone says, hey, there's this thing called Christian music, and they can't get on MTV.
Yeah.
And maybe you could do a video for them. And then they could say, hey, Darren Doane did the video. MTV might play, and it worked. That was MXPX.
Right.
And so basically Pennywise, Strife, and then kind of the Tooth and Nail roster, those were kind of my families that really,
So cool. Yeah, because I know like early on with Tooth and Nail, Under Oath was an act that they had early on before they blew up. Norma Jean, I think, was with Tooth and Nail in Solid State, right? So what a cool...
Yeah, I had all the videos. I had all the videos when they had their original singer.
Right.
That was kind of my thing. I have the original Blink drummer. I have all the original singers from every hardcore band.
Do you think that there was something about your style or the way that? I mean, what was it that bands really was drawn to be so willing to pass your name on and get you the success that you did in that scene?
I mean, honestly, before God, I was the only guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 91, 92, 93, 94. No one is directing music videos that's under 25. And if they are, they're doing huge, major, $250,000, $500,000 videos. Epitaph Records, Tooth and Nail, Victory Records. All these labels are now showing up. There's no one directing music. There's no kids.
Right.
I was the equivalent of the kids, but I had the camera.
Right.
Only reason.
That's so cool because you were, so much a part of the scene without carrying a musical instrument. You were carrying an instrument, but not a musical one, and you were just as involved and important.
Yeah, and it's really that same thing. It's like, how do bands get better shows? Well, you're playing the local gig with that guy, and then they take you for 3 shows, and it's all band nepotism in that sense, right? I mean, I was the only kid. I was the only kid there, and I spoke. Because I grew up with musicians, all my friends were just with musicians. People in bands are just weird. They're just weird people.
Yes,
we are.
And the culture is weird. And you're on tour, you're even weirder because there's no internet back then. So you're just weird.
Yep.
You don't know what day it is. You're trying to find a payphone. You're weird. I love those days because those days when you saw somebody with like sleeve tattoos, you were like, I wonder what band they're in.
Right.
And you would look and you would try to figure out, and you're like, oh, Alkaline Trio. Oh, right. And you'd look, and now I remember when I saw someone sleeved, and I was like, I wonder what band that dude's in, and they're like, that's nobody.
Yeah.
I like when you can identify bands when they actually, you had to do something to earn sleeves. But yeah, I was just, I was comfortable around bands, and because all my friends were in bands, I was equally as, they could tell I wasn't faking it. I realized later in life that directors would show up, and you could tell they were trying to build their reel. They were trying to get to the bigger band. They were trying to use like this opportunity to do Beyonce.
Yeah.
And so you're like, we'll do, this video, really pretty lighting, because I want to show people I can do pretty lighting.
Right.
And they were trying to use, where I would show up and I'd be like, let's just go. If it's in a rehearsal space or we're on a cliff, like I was into it, like that was, and you could just tell. I mean, I could, there's only a couple of things I'm legit at. And if I have a camera in my hand, no one's going to beat me. It's the only thing that I'm like, let's go. I'll shoot right now, and I'll outperform anybody. Bands did that. I saw bands say, put me on stage, any equipment, any PA system, loaner drum kit, let's go. I see AFI pull into a venue, and everything was horrible. They would crush it.
Yeah.
David Havoc would just crush it. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do, but with the camera.
You were the punk rock cameraman.
Absolutely.
I mean, that attitude. Yeah.
Well, and I was close. Everyone else was like, like the band would be where you guys are at, and they'd be back here filming.
Right.
And I would be like right here. Like, let's go. I want to be right there. I want that spit right there, right? It's Henry Rollins, and he's right there. Back there with the zoom lens, trying just tight shot, and I'm like, spit is flying on me.
Yeah.
And stuff's hitting me, and I know to drop because someone's hitting the stage and is about to jump.
Yeah.
And bands would see that, and I remember we were somewhere, and an early Korn show. And this is when Korn was on doing like hardcore shows, and people didn't even know what to think of this band. And Korn would show up, and it'd be like Sick of It All, somebody, and then Korn would be in the middle, and Korn would show up, and are you ready? And and the heart were like, what is going on here? But I was at a show where I asked them, can I come and film the show? And I just went off with them running around. I'll never forget, like, it was such a cool moment. That show ended, and I'm as sweaty, as exhausted as they have been, And I remember, who would it be? Be Monkey Schaefer. Yeah. Monkey comes over, and he has a towel, and he just puts it on my shoulder, and he just gave me this look like, yeah, man. Like, you were on this stage with us tonight. I was and they weren't even Korn yet.
Right.
But, I mean, we knew it was like they're on a different level. So that
gives me chills.
To kind of have that connection was just, that was awesome, because I wanted to be in a band.
Yeah.
I can't sing. Although I realized later, apparently that didn't stop anybody. I mean, I should have realized I could be a singer in a hardcore band.
What's cool is you got to be in all the bands. I mean, you didn't have to be in one band. You were in every band.
I'm writing that down.
Really cool.
I'm stealing that.
Hey, so I heard on a recent podcast of yours. The podcast is excellent, by the way. Tell us a little bit. I know that we all know that you became a Christian as an adult, and I heard that your dad was a filmmaker or in the movie business. Can you before we get into the questions that Jesse has, can you tell us about growing up, who your dad was, and how you became a Christian? Kind of overview.
Yeah. My father, Bill Doane, old school veteran. He got his first job from John Wayne. So I don't even know when that would be on, I think, Rooster Cogburn or just one of the early John Wayne films. And back in those days, you kind of did everything. So if you got a job on a film set, you did everything. So he learned to do explosions, props, set painting, filming second unit stuff where they'd go with the camera and shoot just the explosion by itself or rocks falling, whatever. And eventually just became like a master pyrotechnician. And so I grew up visiting my dad on the set, but it was very blue collar. It wasn't like Hollywood. It was like you hung out with the grips and you hung out with the electricians and the catering dudes and the drivers and, and the teamsters. And it was just very that, But again, kind of like hanging out with bands your whole life. If you do that, you get comfortable being somewhere. It's just how to walk on a set, stepping over cords, see stands, lights. It was always very comfortable. I see my dad, he'd get a script sent to him for a movie, and he would break down the script, because he had to go through and just look for everything that was a special effect, wind, rain, bullet. But right down to like washing machine, because in a movie, there's no electricity. So even a washing machine has to have somebody shaking, making eggs in the morning, steam. There's no real, everything's fake. So he would break down. But I thought I was going to draw comic books. I was always around film stuff, but that didn't work out my senior year of high school. And I had a buddy. I was like, we just need to make music videos. I was a music video fanatic. I was a music, just crazy for music, and let's go do that. And then remember one day I asked my dad a question because he was kind of like, what do you mean you're going to be a director? Because for him it was like you worked 30 years and maybe you become a director. That kind of old school, new school thing was happening. And I was like, no, I'm just going to go direct. And he was kind of like, okay. And I remember one day I came home and I'd bought a Star Wars book about all the making of Star Wars. And in the back of the Star Wars book, they had all the terms for filmmaking, like what's a daily, what's a dolly, what's just a matte painting. And I got it, and I came home one day, and it never dawned on me. My dad was in the room. I said, hey, Dad, do you know what a daily is? And he answers it. And I was like, and I went down the whole list. There's like 4 pages, and my dad knew everything. And I was like, it didn't even dawn on me that my dad knew everything.
Right.
And I was like, wow. And from that moment forward, I was like, come out to the set with me, Dad. And then he would come, and, he was with me for a long time before he passed away a few years ago. But if he could be there, he was on the set. And
wow.
people Doane, and he was, he was a legend, and he knew everybody, and his stories always sounded fake because they were just so, and so I remember because he'd always, because he was like, oh yeah, Brad, it'd be like Brad Pitt, and yeah, I got Brad again, a little trick on the set or something, and like years later, I was in Hollywood driving, and I see Brad Pitt, and it's like late at night out in front of one of the sound studios where they're doing like some late night work or something, and it's totally chill, and I pull up, and I see Brad Pitt, he's smoking a cigarette or something. I say, hey man, I don't want to be weird. I go, but my dad's Bill Doane, I just want to say hi, and Brad Pitt's like, Billy's your dad?
No way.
Like, yeah, he goes, man, do you know how long I've been trying to beat him at a game of pool?
No way.
I've never seen my dad play pool. There was this whole other world. Like people would meet my dad and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we were working on this," and so he just knew everybody. It was just really crazy, and so that definitely had an influence on me.
Yeah,
just because he, I saw the way he interacted with people, and to this day, if I visit someone on the set or if I'm, I still try to find like where's the electrician.
Yeah.
Like I just, and my brother now has taken over my dad's position. My brother's now like my dad is the top special effects guy doing like every Marvel movie, and it's gnarly. Like, so now my brother's doing that. So It's a lot. It's a lot of family experience of this industry, and but yeah, somewhere in there, the transition was making music videos, and someone said, do you want to work with some Christian bands? Mm-hmm. And I was like, whatever, And I remember thinking it was funny, because they told me, they're like, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean Christian? They're like, well, for every band they have a Christian version. I was like, what? I was like, come on now. They're like, no, for real. And so MXPX was like the first band I worked with, and we did a video for a song called Punk Rock Show. And I cut the video, and I was like, man, I think these guys are pretty good. Working with Pennywise at the time, right. I show Pennywise the video, and they watch it, and it was done. And I remember them just going, this band's amazing.
Wow.
Wow. I was like they were like, I remember Fletcher saying, that's the most perfect punk song I've ever heard in my life.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay. But then I was just around a bunch of Christians for like a couple years.
Okay.
And no one ever shared the gospel with me. No one ever said Jesus has a plan for your life or anything like that. I was always reading. I was always into weird stuff. I was always into UFOs and, Knights Templar stuff. I almost became a Mason at one point. I mean, I was always into weird stuff, and I had Mormons all around me growing up and Jehovah's Witnesses around me growing up. And it was always soaking in, as far as just weird stuff. And then I got a referral, I heard someone mention C.S. Lewis. It was Mere Christianity. It was a reference somebody made, and I was like, I'm going to go find this book. Mm-hmm. And I went and I got the book. I got a page in. I put it down. I was like, uh-oh.
I'm in trouble.
No, I was like, I put it. I came back like 6 months later, picked it up again, got to like a chapter, and literally I got to like maybe a chapter or two chapters, and somewhere in there, because I've not gone back to it since, somewhere in there he talks about why when someone cuts you off in line, do you know like that's wrong? Mm-hmm. I was like, and literally I was like, I'm a line cutter. And here's the funny part. I was like, I'm a line cutter. Dude, I need to go to hell.
Right. Wow.
Like, no Baptist preacher.
Right.
I was like, I'm a line cutter. I deserve to go to hell. Like, just sitting there by myself. Like, huh. I was like, well, I better go talk to Jesus.
Wow.
I was like, I better go have this conversation. And drove to like this little mountain hill, like a little hill, which is so biblical. I went back to the mountain to go talk to God, right?
I've been there.
And just started talking to him. Like, I mean, it's funny now because I was like, we need to have a talk, God.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I was like, and I want to have a relationship with you, but, like, I don't want to be a Christian. Mm-hmm. I was like, because Christians are kind of weird. Not the guys I know. Like, they're kind of cool, but, like, you know, I was always watching TBN. I was always I mean, there was, like, 4 times I almost called, like, Jesse Duplantis.
Oh, my God.
And, like, went all in.
Yeah.
Because I knew even back then, like, that was my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those were the weird cousins and uncles. Like, I didn't know it yet, but I was like, I think this is my family. Like, I think I'm a part of this, but this is weird.
Yeah.
And I said, God, I want a relationship. I don't want to be called a Christian, and I don't want to say I accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, and I want to be forgiven of my sins, and, you know, like, I don't want to say that, you know, and that's why I had no problem telling people that I'm a Calvinist. Like, I was sitting down, he literally grabbed me. I was sitting in, like, my prayer position, and he grabbed me. He literally just picked me up and just slammed me on my knees. And I was like, I accept Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I don't want to go to hell. You're God, you're King, you're in charge. And I was like, I think I'm a Christian.
Praise God. That's amazing.
And I was like, and I get up, I go, well, okay, I'm going to go home. God, I'm going to read my Bible, and I'm not going to tell anybody. Just going to be me and you, God. And it's the only time I've had an audible, like, my theology doesn't even allow for this moment.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't even allow for it. And it cuts me to this day. And he said, no, you're not cool anymore. Mm. And the next line still crushes me because I heard the tone and the cadence. He said, no, you're not cool anymore. And he said, and you're going to tell everybody about me.
Wow.
And I just was like, which pretty much means I was a jerk day 2.
right. Getting corrected, yeah.
And that was it. Cool like story. It was it was on, you know. And all those providential things. I knew everything about Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventist, my mom was Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witnesses, all that, you know. Like I knew it. Knights Templar stuff. Like I knew. Like I was already like UFOs and abductions and like like I knew all the weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I could have the conversation and look at people and say, no, this stuff isn't even weird enough.
Yeah.
Like, you think UFOs are weird? Bro, you got to get covered in blood.
Right.
Like, bulls and goats and blood and, like, sacrifice. Like you want to get gnarly?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, you're not gnarly enough.
No. Your UFOs are weak.
Those dudes waiting for, like, the UFOs with their Nike shoes and taking, everybody like, that's so weird, those cults. I'm like, no, it's not weird enough.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Like, we're weirder.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
That's a roundabout way.
So cool.
That is awesome. You know, it's interesting hearing that. And then, so we talked a little bit about music videos and the ones you kind of were into and bands that kind of influenced you. And one of the things that I love is even after you became a Christian, it seems like your style for like filmmaking stuff like that, like it didn't change. Like a lot of how Christians sometimes when they kind of, you know, if they become a Christian, they go, oh, I got to change everything about it. It's like you almost had this kind of understanding, like, well, no, this is what God has gifted me with. This is my styling. I'm going to keep going into it. So what I want to know is transitioning from like music videos and stuff like that to actual feature films. How did that kind of transformation go about, you know, to make you decide like, well, instead of just doing strictly music videos, you know, and then doing these full-length videos,
right.
Were you doing some of them before you became a Christian, or did a lot of them come about?
I had done one, but by the time I was finishing the movie, I had become a Christian.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So I did one, which is funny because the film ends with a guy blowing his brains out, and I realized like it was just my story.
Whoa.
Wow.
I was like, you had to die. Like, you just had to die. Like, and I didn't know how to process that before I became a Christian.
Wow.
It's like I knew I was dumping myself into this film, and then it was like realizing that, you know, and seeing that. Like, there's a weird this is kind of heavy, gnarly, but there's this, you know, and I know people debate this. Like, do you open the Bible and read Genesis and say to yourself, no, I'm going to read this as a Jew? And how would a Jew have understood it? Or do you open the Bible and say, no, like, I know the end now. I go back and I read the beginning knowing the end, and let us make man in our image. I don't say how would a Jew. No, I know what that is now. And so people kind of argue about that, like, which way do you read the Bible? But history does this thing where once God does something, everything dominoes backwards. And everything changes because now you look at it through providence. Right? Like, and so when I look back at that movie and I look back what I was doing, God was already telling my story of where, you know, you think you're doing one thing, God's doing something different. Artistically, when you look back and you see that, you just go, whoa. So that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is, especially with that imagery of the head, the gunshot to the head at the end. I mean, dying and how oh man, it's cool that you're able to, you know, see that story being told that way too. What a gift, really.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
that was a good one.
So what just a quick thing. What movie was that you finished up?
It was called God Money.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
it was God Money.
Listed, yeah.
Okay, so anybody who has not seen that, we just spoiled the ending for you.
Spoiler alert.
He dies.
There's like 3 people so bummed right now.
But you've done a plethora of movies, but I actually want to get into some of the ones that you had started, kind of starting with Collision. And then meeting Doug Wilson and stuff like that. Tell us, because we, like Brian had mentioned, we had a viewing party for Collision last night, and we sat around and had some whiskey and cigars, and it was just a really fun time, and the conversation was great. But could you tell us?
You guys are really reformed. You guys are really reformed.
Yeah. We're not messing around here.
Yeah.
Our beards are usually longer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was for the 500 years you all grew up.
Yeah, there you go. But tell us, how it came around to meeting Doug Wilson, because we're all fans of Doug. We watch a lot of his stuff. I read a lot of his stuff. You actually just read his book. What was that one?
Raising men to be future men, raising boys to be giants.
Future men.
Yeah.
Giants, yeah.
Future men.
Yeah. Yep.
Future men. Yeah.
So tell us, how that came about. How did you meet Doug? And
I knew who Doug. I had known of Doug Wilson, but I didn't know he was Doug Wilson, because when I first became a Christian, the guy that mentored me was one of the managers of one of the bands, and his name was Dave Bonson, whose dad was Greg Bonson.
Oh wow!
No way.
That's crazy.
So I called Dave day one. Dave, I accepted Christ. He's like, get on down here. I drive an hour and a half down to Orange County. He gives me the great debate, Gordon Stein and his dad.
Oh, yeah.
On tape. He gives me a book called Before Jerusalem Fell by Ken Gentry.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gave me a little book, I think, Marcellus Keek, I forget how to say his name, on Revelation 20. And then he said, listen to this, read these 2 books, and you'll be just fine.
Wow.
And he said, and I'll be up in a week or 2 to give you a Bible study. He came up and he spent a full day, went all through Revelation with me. He said, if you understand this, you're not going to be weird. And every single thing in the Bible will make sense. So you are what you are on who you are when you become a Christian.
Right.
I was Postmil, Reformed, Preterist. I don't even know what. It's just that's all I knew.
Right off the bat.
Day one. And I'm reading this stuff. I'm going through all that stuff. So I found a website called Covenant Media Foundation.
Yep.
And they had all the Bonson stuff. They had all the debates. Eventually I worked my way through all the debates, and I got to Wilson, but I didn't know who Wilson was. And I'd been through every debate, and this guy Wilson gets up, he's debating, and the guy says, before we start or something, I just want to confirm that the man standing across from me, Douglas Wilson, he's going to be defending the God that tells the Israelites to go in, find babies, and murder them? Is this the God you're going to be defending this entire night? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there, I'm painting I'm about to have our first kid, I'm painting the baby's room, and I'm a good Reformed apologetics guy. I'm like, I know the answer to this. There are no innocent children. Like, you know. And then Doug Wilson says, well, let me ask you a question. Are you pro-choice? And the guy's like, yeah, I don't know what that has to do with I don't know what your point is. He goes, so you think a woman has the right to murder her baby, but God can't murder his babies? Mm-hmm. And I was painting, and I was like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
I was like, that's not an answer. What is that? Like, what did he just, like the first time he saw, like, jujitsu.
Right. Yeah.
We called it that.
Got a rear-ended choke? Like, what? Like, what? Place Gracie taking down a 6'9", like, what? Like, I was like, what did he, like, it was rhetoric.
Yeah.
Like, it was rhetoric, you know, it was, and it never left me. Anyways, 2 years later, we have a kid, maybe I think our second kid, marriage, trying to figure out marriage. It's crazy, it's wild. And I was like, I need a book on marriage. I don't know how to do any of this. Mm-hmm. And I'm around super evangelical, Calvary Chapel, wearing nice, floral print shirts, Southern California. Everyone's super effeminate, and you're just confused, and so I went to Amazon, which was still new at that time, and I just typed in marriage. Mm-hmm. And it said, based on books you've bought before, I only bought in theology books.
Right.
They recommended a book called Federal Husband. Mm-hmm. And I just bought it. It came in. I started reading it, and I was like, whoa. Again, it was like, whoa, who talks like this? Like, and I was like, who's this Doug Wilson guy? And everybody's like, this is that guy. And by the time I read Federal Husband, I found his blog. It was new. And I found these hate blogs on Doug Wilson. Yeah. And before we were hate blogs, it was just weird websites. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, this dude sounds like I got to meet this guy. And I just tracked him down, and I just invited myself up. I wanted to see if he was the real deal.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, you can't be real. Mm-hmm. And I went up to Moscow, Idaho, and met him, and then it was kind of like, I felt like, and I still do in one sense, I felt like that moment when you found the band no one found yet. Mm-hmm. Like, you knew you were at the club, and you were like, this is the band.
This is the next band. Yep. These are the guys.
Yeah.
And I was looking around, and because my whole paradigm was music scene, I was looking around going, okay, who are the top bands right now? It's Piper, it's Sproul, it's MacArthur. Mm-hmm. Those were pretty much those were the, Southern California, Chuck Smith. I mean, but these were the heavyweights. Mark Driscoll he was making his thing now. But I was looking around, and I was like, the first three are all going to be dead within 10 years. Are fully retired. That leaves Mark Driscoll. But Mark Driscoll reminds me so much of myself, and I'm kind of a jerk. I don't make it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at Doug, and I went and met Doug, which is like seeing the band. And then I met his kids, and I was talking to one of his daughters, and I said, I mean, come on, he's a human being, right? I mean, there's got to be, he's a guy, he's a human being, he makes mistakes. I mean, he's a dad. I mean, he probably, just give me a story that he's, he lost his temper or, and I kid you not, Becca Merkel, she was fixing something, and she just stopped, and she said, I don't think I've ever heard my dad raise his voice.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that ruins my day. And it was like, and at that point, Doug he wasn't the cancer he eventually became. He was getting there. Uh-huh. It was still Piper and Driscoll and it was like there. But for me, this is the punk rock scene. Like those dudes are like, Warrant, and like, maybe even, Guns N' Roses. Those are the big acts.
Yeah, they're playing on Sunset. Yeah.
Right. But I'm looking over at Doug Wilson and I'm going, dude, this is Nirvana, and it's about to, and it's going to take over everything. Like I was just realizing he had his own publishing company, or its own denomination. I mean, that's a simplification of it. Like the things he was doing was so punk rock, it just seemed punk rock to me.
Yeah.
I have my own label. I have my own distribution. I have my own touring. We have our own merchant. Like I'm watching, like this is Fugazi. This is Black Flag. See, I'm like, dude, Doug is like, and yet when you meet him, he's like the sweetest, most gentle guy, But it reminded me of bands like a Tim Lambesis. It's like, hey, they get on stage and it's like, oh, it's insane. And afterwards, you're hanging out at Waffle House and they're super chill and nice. How Doug is on his blog.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like that's when he takes the stage.
Gosh.
Blog, he's gloves off, brass knuckles on.
Right.
I mean,
Right, but that's the stage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get off the stage and it's nice and you hang out and you sign autographs and you hang with people until the last person's there. I was like, dude, this dude is a beast.
Darren, you know how actually in that same Michael Madsen podcast, that whole podcast was about proximity, and anytime I've read Doug Wilson or listened to him, and I didn't grow up in a Christian home either, and one of the things that I saw in Collision was a scene that you'd filmed in his house when they're singing with the kids at the dinner table and they're singing songs around and I've been a Christian for 9 or 10 years now, but I didn't know what any of that was like, and I still don't even know really how to be a covenant dad. I know how to be a Christian, and I know how to be a dad, kind of, but when I read his book Future Men, I see that scene where he's singing. I'm sorry,
the doxology.
The doxology. Thank you.
Doxology at the table when he's doing guitar.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, and when I think about proximity, I'm like, I want somebody in my life like that so bad, where I can be so close. I want to smell the whiskey on his breath.
Dude, I told my wife we were at that time we were going through, it's like Doug always jokes like, has it gotten so bad that it's come to prayer? Has it come to this? Like maybe it's time to pray. And like in a marriage, I always joke, like, has it really come down to we have to start reading our Bibles together?
Right.
Come to this.
Right.
Right. And at that time, like we're gonna read Proverbs. We're gonna read Proverbs every morning. We did like a whole Proverbs study. Like this guy James Jordan had a whole study on Proverbs or something, or Psalms. We did at the same time. And going through Proverbs, and I just remember thinking, dude, I think I got to get near Doug. Like, I'm like, if wisdom is the thing we're chasing, man, I got to go. And I was like, but that punk rock thing in me was kind of cool because I was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go follow that band. I'm going to go on the road with that band. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go. But I told my wife, because it was weird, like, what are you doing? I'm going to go meet this guy. But I told her, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to be around somebody. And there's a reason why when people read Doug's stuff, it's very, again, it's not a knock on him, but you could read Doug's stuff and be a jerk. Mm-hmm. Because men see principles, we see authority, we see, I gotta get my act together, and when we, and it's no fault to Doug because what's he do? Write in pink letters? Right. Like what's he like? It's you can't write soft, but then to get up and meet Doug, and he's soft. I mean, he's not soft, but he's soft,
right.
And you get there and you see it, and when I was doing Collision, I had 3-4 days with them, but then I got to sit for a month editing footage, which is why I'm so excited to put all this new stuff out, because this is what I was looking at for months, and I could watch the nuances, when he said something, when he didn't, when he'd get cut off and he could have an answer but he would pull back, watching his tone, like I was being mentored through all this footage.
Wow.
And I just always thought, at some point I just got to, and I stayed in touch with Doug, and I'd call Doug and always pick up the phone, answer any question, and guided me through a ton of stuff. And it wasn't until 5 years ago, we moved up here. But that, yeah, you're right. That I was, because when you're reformed, there's two kinds of reformed worlds. Like, if you sort of get brought into just, I don't want to be around like gay Christianity, and I need something a little more heavier in my theology. Like, okay, you get the reformed world, but you pretty much just end up being a Calvinist. You're not really reformed.
Right.
You're just into all the doctrines of Calvinism.
Mm-hmm.
And you like beer and you can smoke cigars.
Right.
Like, that's kind of, yeah. No one's talking to you about, like, again, like you said, what the heck is this covenantal, like, what is this?
That's the key.
No one ever tells you about that.
Nope.
No one ever, like, and so that was missing for me. And so Doug, I was able to really read a lot of Doug stuff, like, but then what does it look like? What does it look like? How do you talk to your children? What, then seeing his kids, like, I had to get around it because I just think apart from the Holy Spirit doing some amazing work, I think we're screwed unless we get around other people.
Yep.
And you're in that situation, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Like,
exactly.
I needed to be around people that I could actually imitate. And again, it's back to this whole band thing, which I've never fleshed out this much, so it's really fun.
Good.
Like,
cool.
This is great. Yeah, it's like you went on tour with bands, and I saw bands get better because of who they were playing with.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so I was like, I want to go, and I just want to be near it. I want to be near it.
Yep. No, that's really cool, and we're getting pretty close up to our hour with you so far. But I had one more question.
Let's just keep going until I'll just tell you when I'm done.
All right, sweet,
awesome.
Sounds good. So I want to shift gears a little bit. So, as you've said, and as anybody who kind of watches your stuff can, pretty much tell, you're Postmil, and you're a filmmaker. So what I want to know is, in that worldview, having that perspective, that kind of outlook, and that victorious, eschatology, that victorious end, how does your how do you kind of view your films, your filmmaking for like the long term?
Your role.
I'm still an artist, so I'm still just as confused and insecure as that person trying to make stuff, But I think it has more to do just with my. It's not. I mean, it's in my work somehow, yes, but I think it's more. It's weird. Filmmaking for me, I've always been more inspired by filmmakers than I am films. Like, I like the process of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Right. So I think the sort of Postmil is, one, it's victorious in that all this pain and suffering, all the as an artist, all the angst,
sure,
actually has an actual home for blood being planted in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the sacrifice, all the pain, they're just hand grenades that are going to go off for the kingdom. Like, so they're like, oh, I can't believe I got myself into another project. This is really hard, or another criticism, or another, like, whatever. Like, it's just from a Postmil standpoint, it really is just more that, like, everything really does matter, and it helps me move on to the next project because I'm not looking for a quick return right now. Even like, the Collision series is a really good example. Once I realized I wanted to do that, and I knew what I wanted to do, there were a lot of people that were like, why would you give this away for free? And I'm not doing the humble give everything away for free. Like, I'm not like, I love that. I get it. It was like, I just want to get stuff out. I just want to get stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when I started that, what I'm doing is I'm thinking in terms of how many grenades can I drop.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just want to do stuff every day and drop as much as I can every day, put out as much as I can every day, and not be looking for this quick paradigm of success. Do I sell it? Do I send people to iTunes to buy it? I'm like, I don't know, back to this whole punk rock thing. There's a part of me that's actually kind of coming full circle on, like, I'm just going to do whatever I want.
Wow.
Right.
Like, I'm just going to put out music
Yeah.
So to me, it's like we're not making albums anymore. We're dropping singles. It's the 1950s again, and we're just dropping
It's true.
single. And if somebody wants to put a greatest hits together because you earned it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
Like, great. But like to me, the album is done. Feature films are done. It's 472 hours of content on a particular subject.
Love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, that's kind of goes back to our kind of like mentality behind even this podcast was really to kind of, because none of us really thought that, we can, make as much quality as, some of the other ones out there. Because there's a plethora of, podcasts out there. I mean, there's just, you got one, everyone's got one. But the biggest thing for us was just like, how can we come along like the Postmil world and that camp, that kind of scene? How can we come, into the theonomy scene and into the really just the Christian, the Reformed Christian scene, and really kind of highlight some of the things that have impacted us and what has impacted others? And one of the big one was, when we first started, we would just get in contact with as many people as we can, and then just really kind of have good conversations. And when we were thinking about it, this was just recently, I was like, well, if we want to highlight some good post-mill stuff, what better than, Darren Doane and some of his films and what he has done. And what I want you to tell us a little bit about is, so you have, as far as like studios, you have Postmil Studios, right?
Yeah, this is going to be funny, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you have Postmil Studios. Do you still have like level 4?
Level 4, right. No, yeah, so, yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay.
No, I do, but it's nothing's ever worked for me because every time I tried to have a cool name, everyone would be like, oh, Doane. Oh, it's Doane's company.
Oh, right.
No, I'm Filmcore. Get it?
Yeah.
I have a logo like that's cool. It's Doane's company. And I was like, they always have new names and that and like nothing. But every time I put a project out, I couldn't just put Doane. Yeah. Directed by Darren Doane, written by Darren Doane, edited by Darren Doane. So all of a sudden I was like, well, instead of putting edited by Darren Doane, I'll just say Postmil Factory is like the editor. Like I kept, nice. And so I just kept, and Postmil Factory seemed like a really fun name. And so like nothing ever really stuck. So I mean, it, even level 4 was at a time, the guy that was managing me is like, well, we got to get a name because we can't just say Doane. And we always joke that, it's like, let's go to that next level. We're like, well, what is that next level? And then we're like, 4? Like, what's the next? Like, what is the next level? So we just called it level 4, and that was, awesome. But even that was a short. So nothing's ever. So it's funny when I went all in on social media in the beginning of the year, and really got my button gear. Part of it was, well, there's a lot on that. We could do a whole show on that because I think this is
okay. We will.
Yeah, good. Because that was like I was like, I joked, I'm almost trying to get witty again on social media because you have the platform like I'm going to say something witty, but I think I wrote something like Christians have already given up on social media.
Yeah,
like they just decided it's of the devil and they're not getting into it. And I wrote something like, which I think their plan is, so 10 years from now, they can have a conference.
Yeah, I saw that. Brilliant.
Christ, right? It's like, no, we're not even getting in the game. We don't even deserve to say we're taking something back because everyone's already given up.
Yeah.
Like they just decided like, no, my 15-year-old cannot touch that. And us adults are like, I will not let my child in the same room as me.
Yeah. No. I would never put this in my child's hand. Right.
Get a picture of me.
Yeah.
Like
it's like smoking a cigarette and telling the kids watching you it's not good for you.
I mean, this is how. Is this ever not in your hands?
No.
I mean, what are we? Yeah. Where is this when you fall asleep? Right? I mean, it's crazy. You ever leave the house without it? I mean, just
the world is ending when we don't have it. Yeah.
So it's this.
And now
so nothing. Yeah, so I went all in. I'm like, no, I'm going all in. I'm just calling it Doane. Doane it was always a nickname, you know, but now I picked it a verb. You just got to Doane it, you know. And was like, I'm just going all in Doane. Like, it's just Doane because my whole life it's just Doane. Not Doane.
Yeah.
Well, that works.
I
That
like my name. Nothing's ever stuck. But I do like that Postmil. But I like Postmil, obviously. And so it's fun to use Post. So now use Postmil Facebook page. I'm dropping that content in that home. So I'm really digging that, you know?
Yeah.
I love how in the end you just gave up and you called your page Doane It, or the podcast.
Yeah.
Just, all right.
The Doanecast, yeah.
Doanecast, just like, and that was part of not being precious.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about that real quick.
Yeah. I just think if I wasn't drinking Red Bull and I was drinking this, believe me, I could go off on that.
Oh, man.
And the reason I asked, maybe we could gear it a little bit so that we don't have you repeat what you said on your podcast.
Look, this happening right now,
Yeah.
this is the point.
You
guys said we're going to do this.
Yeah, and the punk rock thing is resonating with me because just in the past few weeks, this is our 12th episode, and we have each week we're kind of like still figuring out what we are, and we're just kind of defining ourselves a lot like our early band days. And about 3 weeks ago, Jesse and I were hanging out, and we said, there's a line that we want to be careful with about, like, because we have jobs and kids and wives and responsibilities. And so there's a line that we want to be careful of putting too much pressure on ourselves and trying to, like, be this big special podcast or whatever, precious podcast. And at the end of the day, we want to set up our gear in the basement in Michigan and jam. That's what we're doing. We're jamming when we turn these microphones on.
Yeah.
Dude, this is it, man. I mean, this is, when you reached out, I mean, I got so excited because, people don't, I do an interview once every 2-3 years. Someone calls me.
Wow.
I'm not on some list, but what's happening now, though, couldn't make me any more excited because this is like, I'm the crappy band, and the crappy venue just booked me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love it. Like, if you can't do this, if you can't take the time to interview me and take it seriously, and if I can't say, hey, 3 people want to talk to me, I say it. That's Henry Rollins, right? If there's 1 person or 500 people, I play to the same level.
Yep.
Right. So, today I was like, man, I got 3 dudes who are inviting me to the venue. We're going to jam today, dude. We're going to play. We're going to play. This is what's happening right now. What this is right now, this is because the gatekeepers have been destroyed. This is the equivalent of playing clubs again, being Fugazi. But guess what? That club now reaches the whole world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a new day, and that's what I want Christians to understand. Why we have to be all in on this right now. This moment. People don't even know the moment that's happening right now. They don't even know.
Right. Man.
Well, the lead singer just stage dived and landed on a group of sweaty kids, and it was the last song.
Dude, he's always playing at 11.
Yes, please go to 11.
Yes. This guy is always at 11.
Darren, man, we love you, brother, and we're so thankful to have been able to spend a few minutes with you. We hope to do it again at some point in the future.
I would love to.
We're always keeping an eye on the
bonus question. We got Jacob bonus question. This is my boy from Oxnard.
Yes.
We got to do a bonus round.
Let's
Come
go.
on, Jacob. What do you got?
You got a bonus question, Oxnard?
Oxnard. Man, I don't even know where to start. I never.
Is there too much to start with?
There's so much to start because I'm just dumbfounded. Nobody knows Oxnard. There's people in the high desert that are 3 hours from Oxnard.
Yeah.
Where's Oxnard?
Yeah.
What is Oxnard?
You got to just say Ventura.
Yeah, you could say Ventura too, but then half the time
That's true.
What's Ventura? You know those strawberries you got from the store today?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where your strawberries came from.
Yeah.
Oxnard and Ventura.
That's right. Come on, Jacob. Bonus round. Let's go, Jacob. Come on.
Bro, I got...
We get Jacob on the ones and twos. You got him on the spot. He's
got me.
He's like Luke the Bear at Apologia. He's just
Right.
chilling there.
I'm just like the hype man. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. Uh-huh.
He adds a level of good looks to our video podcast. He's just got an amazing beard. It's got this just perfect amount of salt and pepper in it where it just screams wisdom,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I just love that not only did you guys go all in on doing this show, but at some point someone made the decision that you were just going to have like house music throughout the entire show. Like, I went and checked out the episodes and I was like, they're totally committed. That's not intro music.
okay, let us talk about that real quick. Because every week we struggle with music because we don't have any. We're a punk rock band. We don't have any money, so we can't buy any music.
Right.
And every week we play with like free music, and it's all bad. So we've actually reached out to some artists. We'll be changing it up pretty soon.
Well, very soon. I actually just hit up a really good friend of mine before I moved out here. I was working with the guy. He actually makes his own music. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, give us a break.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't know. That's my point. You guys committed to it, and like,
Hey, what you know what's hilarious is the three of us here are musicians.
Yeah.
We would really love a certain type of music in the background.
We don't just go make it.
But why don't we go make it? I don't know.
It's for all musicians, and it's the hard thing.
What's cool about it though is like that to me is what is so punk rock is sometimes we do things that we would never recommend to anybody else. Like if someone came to you guys for like advice on a podcast before you ever did one, and someone said, maybe we should maybe have a little like house dub kind of music,
little chill stuff in the background.
Yeah, like the whole show. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the whole show.
Yeah.
Like you hear it.
Every now and then you hear the bass drop. Just boom.
Right, like
The track starts over every 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Right. Well, that's what I can't figure out. I'm like, is it one long song or did they actually edit it?
It's about a 16. It's about a 16 measure loop.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I absolutely
awesome.
love it, man.
That's awesome.
It's so cool.
Hey, Darren, so Jacob and I moved here from Southern California. We're in Northern Michigan now. Jesse's a native here.
Yeah, why are you there?
Well, I'll tell you the quick story. Jacob will tell you his story first. They came first.
Real quick. I mean, my wife is originally from Michigan. She was born here. Her family moved out to Vegas, and she had always had a dream to move out here. After we got married, we visited about every year. We really, really wanted to move here. But it wasn't until the two of us, and especially, we came together and became Christians, to where we understood why we wanted to move out here, the purpose. And it's extremely Catholic and that the older Orthodox. Yeah. They're not good. And that's when we realized, okay.
The area's starving up here.
It's starving hard. It's big time for the meat of his word. And that's when we kind of realized, okay, this is what God wants us to do. He wants us to come here and to work his word throughout the community. And I had been trying for years to get a job. And then not until we realized, God gave us that realization, it snapped. I got a job. The house sold. We were here. I mean, it was just like one after the other. And so now we're here, kind of laying down some roots. And then we had our friends Brian and Nareda, his family. They came out and
then so after they were here about a year, Jacob and Holly were super generous. They actually basically paid for our entire trip to come out here and visit them last August. And I think it was a very sneaky move on their part. They knew exactly what they were up to.
We knew they would fall in love.
Yeah.
So we fell in love. We spent a week here in Alpena. We fell in love with it, and when we got back, we just had this unshakable feeling that God was calling us to adventure. I was born and raised in Southern California. I've been in a lot of places, but never lived anywhere else. And when I got here, I heard that Jesse here was, we linked up at church, and he had done some work with End Abortion Now, and we started talking Postmil and Precept, started going to coffee together. And this guy's been praying for community to come out here, Reformed guys to move out here.
That's one of the most amazing things that I figured out was, for the longest time, I mean, I'm no joke, probably like the last 6 to 7 years, I had been praying because the area was so starving, and there wasn't, like, I felt like a lone wolf, like being like this Reformed kind of pre-sub, post-mill, theonomy, all this kind of stuff that was mulling around in my head. I'm like, I'm all by myself. I have nobody. And so for years I was praying. I was like, God, if it's in your will, send people, here.
And so I'm really God's gift to Michigan, is what I'm trying to say.
Whoa. I was the first.
No, and since then, Darren, another family has actually moved out here. So we've had 3 Southern California families move to Alpena within the last year or so.
I mean, and these 3 families, born and raised, Southern California.
Yep.
I was born and raised in Oxnard. I left when I was in my early 20s, moved to the high desert area, and then I moved my family out here.
Yeah, and it was amazing to me because I never thought anything good can come from California, and all of a sudden, here we go.
That's exactly what my partner thought at work, too.
Look at this brain. Look at this. Look at this.
Look at us.
There's a lot of goodness,
Yep.
Man, that's a great story, man. Wow, that is really cool. You guys got to get out for the Grace Agenda in Moscow.
Oh, gosh, we'd love to.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to say when I brought it up, is you guys just got this, like, post-mill cult, like, community up there, up in Moscow, and we hope to do something similar.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it has to start just from a practical building standpoint. I mean, obviously we can say all the things that it takes, but the thing that makes Moscow really unique is the actual layout of the community.
Okay.
Built like an old town from the 1800s, early 1900s. Like, there's a main street, and people live all around it, and you're literally in community.
Yep.
It has a lot of advantages as far as just interacting every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Christian education really is the glue.
Yeah.
That really, when you have Christian education, and you have in anywhere, school, homeschooling, as long as that is happening, I have found, seeing Moscow, that you bring so many people together, because obviously we all have so many differences, different churches, but right now, Christian education obviously is bringing a lot of people together.
That's really interesting.
Obviously, this last week, I mean, the pro-life explosion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last week is like, I mean, I don't even know if we know what just happened. Like,
I don't think it's all out yet.
Well, and it's sort of like when it was cool to be gay.
Right.
Like, 5 people came out.
Right.
This is the equivalent of that, but it turns out everybody's gay.
Right. Pro-life's so hot right now.
Yeah.
It is, man. But like, once it cracked, everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm pro-life."
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Yeah, my pro-life buddy now gets to come out of the closet and be like, I'm pro-life." It's like, once this broke, everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm pro-life."
Yep.
Everyone. This whole, like, it's 50-50 in this country. No way.
No.
51 to,
And you can.
It is 90-10, I guarantee you.
Oh, and you can tell because the pro-choice people, they're getting so hostile. I mean, they're just pushing back with everything they have, and it's
They've had 3 lines. They've had 3 lines for 30 years now.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
They haven't had to practice anything.
Right.
And for the last 30 years, the pro-life movement has been fine-tuning every single argument.
Oh, yeah.
Once this broke, everyone's like, well, what about rape and incest? Everyone's like, it's a person. They're like, what if they're rape? Yeah, but it's a person. You're killing a person.
Yeah.
And people are just like, you look on social media, everyone's just like, it's a person.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So you can kill that person.
Yep.
You can kill that person because they're retarded. You can kill that person. Like, the pro-life movement is like ninjas they've been training now for so long, and the door opened, and dude, everyone's pro-life.
Yep.
Like,
Darren,
Civil War? I don't know, maybe, but like it's
Maybe.
going down.
Well,
It's
yes,
going down.
Civil
Right.
War will win. Oh, did you switch drinks? It looks like you
And
did.
the South is, no. You would know. And it's
okay.
funny is like, look at all these twists. The South is rising.
Oh my gosh! And it just came out to me like it came out of nowhere. It's like, well, what just happened?
Yeah.
Alabama,
South.
Georgia.
The South is now doing the slave thing.
Who just came out?
That's
Louisiana just
hilarious.
came out.
Yeah. No, Missouri.
Missouri was
Yeah,
it? Okay.
Missouri, yeah. Man.
Like this is so nutty. This is so unbelievably nutty that it's just like it's happening
Yeah.
and it's coming from the South. It's like the Democrats didn't want to end slavery and they don't want to end abortion.
Right.
Like
Right.
story here is just so unbelievable. Like it's so rich right now, and it's
awesome.
just like, and it's just happening. So I mean, it's unbelievable to watch, and I think we're going to see some crazy, amazing things happening. And again, that's being Postmil. Like, are you telling me that we might live, that we're in the generation, we're going to see Roe v. Wade
Right.
destroyed?
Right.
Like, if you're not Postmil,
Yeah.
Right.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Darren,
I'm
what's
done.
what's the next?
I'm done.
You're
Datpostmil.
Doane. You're Doane.
I'm done this.
Hey, Darren, what's the next big project? What's the next big one?
I'm like everyone else. I'm trying to pay the bills, bro.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Every project is the big one.
Yeah.
Every project I think is the biggest.
You don't have a big
that-
documentary that you want to do coming up soon or anything like that? You have ideas, I know.
No. I mean, I'll just say this. I'm going to get ousted at some point, but something just dropped.
Oh, do it right now on Reconciled Radio.
I'm just saying. Something just dropped. I'll tell you right now. Something just dropped. If you are perceptive,
Okay.
you'll be like,
Oh.
"Oh, wait a minute."
I see what he's getting at here, boys. I'll fill you in later. They got to catch up. They'll get there. I got you, bro.
Something has dropped.
Okay.
You see it right now.
Yep.
It's coming, and it's pretty gnarly.
Love it.
Love it.
Totally.
Love it. So Darren, we could literally go for hours. But
Yeah,
we will
could. I love it.
we will definitely have you on again if you're willing. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. But for
Anytime.
but for
Wait,
now,
wait.
What?
Bonus
Now
question.
Now you
I
have a
got my
bonus question.
No, your time passed.
Hey, type down. I have the volume control.
What band is that guy in? What band is that? Oh, no band. Sorry. Slave tattoo.
Yeah. I was in a band.
Yeah.
I was
Fair enough.
in a Christian band. We call it ska core. We were ska and hardcore.
Yeah.
It was a band called King Size Zero. Probably never heard of them, but we were out of Ventura County.
What's your bonus question?
Did you ever get to hang out with some of the Christian groups like Five Iron Frenzy, Orange County Supertones?
He did videos for Supertones.
I did not
I
notice
did.
that.
I did 9 Supertone music videos.
Really?
So, starting with Adonai.
Yeah, I was off their first album, I think.
Yeah. So, starting with Adonai, and then Supertone Strike Back comes after that. I do every video on Strike Back. And then I think I take a break, and then I come back. I do a song called Wilderness. But yeah, so I did all the Supertones. Great Supertone story. So I'm not a Christian, and
Yes.
this is so great. And Jason, the drummer of the Supertones, I think it's Jason, started the band. Super nice guy. I mean, he's this guy. Hey guys, like how's your walk with the Lord going? Like he is.
I love it.
Anyways, so we're editing the first music video. I have a little edit room in the place where I'm living at the time. The house that 9 guys were all renting. 2 houses down, Incubus lives next to us. It's just a weird time.
Wow.
Just weird time. And
Just name drop.
it was funny because we never talked. It was just the guys with the dreadlocks. They hadn't really broken yet. They just broke. Like
Yeah.
Incubus just took off, you know. Yeah. And so we're editing, and he's kind of being difficult on the edits. Like, I think it should be there, and I'm kind of getting a little, you know, like, come on, man. And he's sitting back on the couch, and he's like, Darren, I can tell you're getting a little frustrated with me. But what I want you to take into consideration is I'm doing this to glorify Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Oh, he just Jesus juked.
No way.
He's like, I just want this to be the best it can be, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was like, okay. But like, he was like, he was that dude. So in the ska world, yeah, it was Supertones, Mustard Plug, Dance Hall Crashers. And I loved ska. I loved going to ska shows because it was like, ska was like the closest thing to becoming a Christian. It went from like everyone like
Write that down. We're
fighting,
quoting that on Facebook later.
just pitting and just going off, and all of a sudden it was like,
Yeah.
everyone just had so much fun, and like, you know, it's like, wow, the girls were prettier, and like they did their hair up.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
Yeah.
it was like this ska thing was like, you know, it was just kind of funny. So yeah, love ska. I have a weird. There's a couple of ska bands. I almost had
the Israelites.
Spring Hill Jack. Sorry.
Ooh.
What'd you say?
I said the Israelites. They were a group.
Yeah.
The Insiders. They did a couple of worship albums.
I did an Insiders video.
Did you? I think
I did an Insiders video.
they did some work with the original VeggieTales back when they were good.
What? Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Ska was I sort of because there was the Tooth and Nail ska, then there was like the 5 Iron Frenzy. They were on a different label.
Yeah.
I think they were on their own label. I don't remember. Actually, they're actually,
They had their own thing going.
yeah. I think that's what it was.
So you're a ska guy.
We try to we try not to let him talk about it, but he
They
is.
they keep me quiet. I think they sometimes unplug my mic. Like, oh, he's talking about ska.
When you know someone's into ska or been in a ska band,
Yeah.
it gives you such an immediate profile.
That's right. That's right. You know exactly the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, you're like, I got him.
Gotcha.
I got him.
Yeah, chalk
I
that
got
up.
you, big
You've
guy.
been figured out.
I got the ska guy. I got the prayer warrior Jesse, just like praying for people to show up. you know, just knees, and then I got the high desert, Victorville,
That's right.
Metal hardcore.
Representing
metal.
that 760, baby.
Man. So,
Hey,
this is, awesome.
Darren, do you think, what's the chances of us getting Knox on the show next? What do you think? You going to put in a word for us or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, just okay. So, here's the clip you take to make the next promotion. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
You ready? Right. We are recording this, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Hey, this is
wait.
Darren Doane.
Wait, we're
Oh,
not.
come on, man.
Grab the camera so we can actually film him saying this.
Oh, here.
Here.
Hang on.
Can you dub that in after?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. This
Is it recording?
This is. All right, go ahead, Darren.
Okay, hold on here. Do you guys have a tagline for the show or anything that I should say, or
Go cultivate a Christian culture.
That's way too much to say.
Datpostmil.
Hey, this is Darren Doane. This has been an amazing episode, and I think it's my new favorite podcast. But listen, I'm calling somebody out right now. So Chocolate Knox, David Shannon DeLeon, okay? I'm calling you out. You got to get on the show. You got to drop some knowledge, tell some good stories, get on it. I've called you out, so I want to see you on the show. Let's go, baby.
Yeah! Woo!
Amen.
Darren Doane, ladies and gentlemen. Darren, thanks for being with us, brother.
Yeah,
Thank
Darren.
you guys anytime. I love it. I'll play this venue anytime.
All right, we'll have you
love
back.
it. So, hey, before we let you go, though, so the people listening, where can they find some of your stuff at?
Oh, right now, find me at Instagram, Doane Creative.
Doane Creative.
Find Doane Creative Official, Instagram. Doane. I'm super active on Instagram right now. That's kind of where that's my jam right now. I'm doing a lot of stuff on Instagram right now. I'm really trying to work that format. Facebook, I'm still figuring out. It's a lot of work on Facebook. There's 19 different ways for people to reach you.
Yeah.
It's hard. Instagram is kind of the main handle right now. So Doane Creative Official. Go find me there. Go through. And then, of course, Donecast, on YouTube. But really, right now, it's all about Instagram for me, and that leads to other things.
Consider it Doane.
It is done.
Perfect. Guys. Boom. Doing it. Thanks, guys.
Peace out, brother.
Thanks.
Peace out, man.
Yeah.
Nardcore.
See you guys.
We'll see you. Thanks, man.
Thanks again to our guest, Darren Doane. That was a lot of fun. I'm wiped out.
That was so wicked.
We love you guys. Thanks for listening to episode 12. We'll be back next week, I believe, with another guest. We'll let you know. Check out our Facebook for our posts, our memes of the week, which we don't have any this week. We have a special video that'll be posted by Darren this week, calling out one of our buddies. What else is going on? We got iTunes. We got Spotify, we got YouTube, go to all those, Podbean. You can go check us out on all those different avenues and like, subscribe, leave a comment.
We have an email.
Hit us up on Facebook. You can email us at reconciledmedia@gmail.com, and we'll be back next week.
And Christians, go cultivate a kingdom culture.